Sita Rama Rama Hare Ram Rama Ram Sita Rama Rama Ram One time, Ramdas and I were sitting around after breakfast out in Maui, long after he had his stroke. And we used to sit at the breakfast table for hours after everybody else left and just hang out. Sometimes we'd talk, sometimes we wouldn't. So one time I had my phone on and I was recording our conversation, or lack thereof. And when we were getting ready to leave, I said, I recorded this today. And he went, oh. I said, what should I call it? He said, call it Dick and Jeff's Journey to Soul Land. It's a journey. It's a journey, which we're making in our sleep, which is unfortunate. You ever try to drive in your sleep? I actually once did drive in my sleep, which was actually the first time I met him, right after that. We'd spent the day together up in his father's place up in New Hampshire in the winter of 1968, 69. And he had told me this mantra during the day. And then as the evening came on, he said, well, you can stay for the night if you want, but if you're going to go, you should go now. And I had to drive all the way back to New York, about 6-hour drive. So I had to drive my school bus in the morning. I was the hippie bus driver. I drove all these kids to school and back. It was great. And so he said, whatever you decide to do, your mantra will protect you. I thought, that's the weirdest shit I ever heard. Okay. So I was really tired because I'd been up all the night before driving there. I drove driving for a while and I got really tired, so I pulled off the road. And I don't know, some of you might be old enough to remember these little wind-up Baby Ben alarm clocks. Anybody? Whew, at least I'm not alone in this yuga. So I wound up my Baby Ben alarm clock and set it for an hour, and I put it on the ashtray on the dashboard, and I went to sleep. The next thing I knew, I woke up and I was driving. And I didn't know where I was, what is going on here. I don't know what was going on. And I was on the right side of the road and I wasn't speeding, I was driving. The first thought I had was, your mantra will protect you. I screamed that mantra for the next 6 hours. I obviously woke up, I turned the alarm clock and went off with that, and I never woke up, so. That's kind of where we're at. We've turned the alarm clock off and we're living our lives, but we haven't woke up yet. So that's why we do something called spiritual practice. They call it spiritual because it means something we don't know already or we're not aware of yet. And they call it practice because you got to do it. You don't do it, you don't do it. You don't plant the seeds, and nothing happens. Why do I have these in? Take these out of here. I wondered what was weird there. You don't plant the seeds, and nothing happens. And every minute of every day, we are planting seeds. Every thought is a seed. Everything we think about doing is a seed. Everything we do is a seed. And so, in the course of 24 hours, we've planted many, many seeds. How many of those seeds we planted do we really want to experience the fruit of? Like, from these days, I have anger issues when I drive. So I now imagine that everybody in every car out there is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Why would I get mad at him, even if the son of a bitch cuts me off? Okay, Your Holiness, thank you, yes, okay. So that helps once in a while. So it's seeds. We're planting seeds all the time. If we want to be happy, if we want to have some peace of mind, if we want to be able to satisfy the desires that we need to satisfy, if we want to live in a world that's full of kindness and compassion and caring, we have to plant those seeds. So the practice that we just did, the repetition of these, what they call the names of God in India, everything's God in India. So you walk down the street, you see Sri Durga Travel Company, Sri Hanuman Waste Removal, Sri Ram Transportation. So my guru, Neem Karoli Baba, he used to say to us, from going on repeating these names, everything is accomplished. Now that's a big time statement. This is somebody who knows. From going on repeating these names, which we don't understand, which we don't know what they mean, which you don't know why the hell we're doing it, from going on repeating these names, everything is accomplished. I mean, that can't be more clear, can it? It's a fucking guarantee. Excuse me. Can't take me anywhere. It's a guarantee. Okay, so I heard that many times over 50 years ago. Do I believe it? Well, some part of me does. And some percentage of me believes it, and that's exactly how much my life changes. To the extent that I truly believe what my own guru said to me, and I believe he knows, but if I really believed it, my life would be very different. I'd watch a hell of a lot less TV, probably have a little less sugar in my coffee. You never know. And that's the state, that's kind of our situation. We do all this stuff, we meditate, we chant, we do asana, we go to this retreat, that retreat, but we don't really believe any of this shit will work. We don't. So that's why we are stuck in this weird place that we call our lives. That's why we see enemies out there. That's why we're always trying to rope off our position and our space, you know. In America, I need my space. I need a door that closes with a lock. When I was living in India with my family, you know, I lived in the living room. People walking by all the time. I had no need for space because they didn't eat space. They allowed me to be me. And it didn't matter if they walked through the room 100 times. It didn't matter to me. I was okay. But in America, especially like in the house I grew up in, I wasn't allowed to be me. And so I had to close that door and lock it in order to feel safe. And I think that those kind of programs keep running unless we notice them, unless we work with them, and then finally find a way to release them. And it's not so easy. So, mantra, the practice of the repetition of the name. We don't know what these names mean. And the real meaning of these names or these words or mantras that we're chanting is not to be known intellectually, and it's not to be experienced emotionally. These names are actually the names of who we truly are, the presence that lives within us as who we really are, not something else. It's not something else. I remember one time I was sitting with Maharaji, and there were other people around, and I noticed, I saw, I was waiting for something to happen. I was waiting, like him to touch me, and boom, I'd be in samadhi or something. I was waiting for something to happen. And I realized, and then I realized that my idea of enlightenment was someplace that I would not be. And it's exactly the opposite of that. We're here. We're going to be here. There's nowhere to go. We might as well clean our rooms, just like our mother told us, so we can sit down and be at ease in ourself. And for that, we need to do some practice, because those programs don't stop running by themselves. And it's hard. It's hard to do enough practice to make something, to really feel something. And we're busy. We have a lot to do. And we're running our asses off all the time. And to carve out enough space to slow down is very difficult. It's very difficult. There's no question about it. And even if we do slow the body down, the mind's not going to, doesn't give a shit where the body is. I'm out of here. So we need to find a way to really give ourselves a break. And you know, we weren't trained that way. You know, I mean, my parents didn't give themselves a break. My grandparents didn't give themselves a break. Where was I going to learn to give myself a break? You know? I remember when I was living with these Indian families, especially one family. I couldn't believe it. It was a functional family. Who knew? I never saw one before. They could yell and get angry and, all kinds of stuff, and it was okay. Nobody was afraid that anybody in that family would throw them out of their heart, no matter what they did. There was absolutely no, it was in every cell of their bodies. They knew that nobody would throw anybody out, no matter what kind of nonsense they got into. It took me a little while to get with the program, but wow, once I did, what a feeling. What a feeling, not to have to tiptoe down the steps through the kitchen and out the door before my mother caught me. Not that it's her fault. I knew my grandparents. I know you could see where it all comes from. So there's really nobody to blame. I see the stuff my daughter has. I know where she got it from. It's no mystery. But she forgives me. That's because she doesn't buy any of my shit, I remember when she was 10 years old, I was walking through the kitchen. I was really in a bad mood. And I said something like, "Aren't you going to wash the dishes?" And she just looked at me like, "You're talking to me?" She didn't take it personally at all. She was always too smart for her own good, for my own good. So yeah, we have to do something to slow down. We have to do something to let go, find a way to let go of the stuff that's pushing us around. I started to chant with people because I had an epiphany. I was in my room in New York, and I walked from one room to the other, and I was, this thunderbolt just hit me, really. It almost knocked me over. And I saw very clearly that if I did not sing with people, I would never be able to clean out the dark shadows in my own heart. And that's where the suffering was coming from. It wasn't from out there. It was my own stuff. It took me a while to get with the program, but here we are. So thank you for coming to help me. I mean it. Yeah. Well, when you do practice, I think the biggest obstacle that we all have is our expectations. It's been 35 seconds. I don't feel shit. What's going on? The hell with it. What's on TV? It's expectations. We're really hard on, and that's a symptom of how hard we are on ourselves. How little space we give to ourselves to breathe, to feel, to relax, to be open. And many different practices, many different types of meditation, chanting. It's all good. And the practice that you do is the best one for you until you do another one. And that's the best one for you. But you have to do something. I'm sorry. You can't expect that we're going to go on bullshitting ourselves all life and then all of a sudden everything's going to be okay. But luckily there's a little thing built into the system that saves us. And that is called suffering. It's a wonderful thing. In fact, Buddha came out of the jungle, and that's all he said. Hey monks, guess what? There's suffering. Believe it or not. I mean, he also said, this is the cause of suffering, this is the path to relieve suffering, and then this is what happens when it's gone. But let's go back to stage one, which is that's where we are. We keep thinking life is going to work and that we're going to get everything we want and we're going to be happy forever. Oh. It's not true? No, because we're trying to squeeze water from a stone, and so we're going to have bruised hands. I was very much in love with someone once, and I was telling my Indian father, Mr. Tiwari, who was a great yogi. He had been with Maharaji for 40 years. He was extraordinary. The thing he used to say to me more than anything else, after explaining to me something, he would say, and in my response, he would say, "My boy, is there something wrong with your brain?" So this particular time, I'd spent like an hour talking about how great this woman is, how much I'm in love with her. And he listened all through it, and then finally I finished. And he said, "My boy," he said, "relationships are business. Do your business, enjoy." He didn't say don't do your business. He said do your business, enjoy. But love? Love is what lasts 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Love is who we are. Love is what's in there all the time. Always has been, always will be. But we don't remember and we don't know how to look, how to see it. And that's what practices do. They turn our awareness towards our true self, our true being. Little by little, if it happens too fast, they rent a private padded cell for you. Free meals, not too bad. And really, it's very simple. It really is very simple. If we could do one thing, each one of us, the whole world would be a different place. And that is to treat other people the way we want to be treated. That's all. That is all that's required. But can we do it? No. Not even close. So in order to get the strength to not only give ourselves a break, but to give other people a break, we have to find a way to slow down. We have to train ourselves to let go of those programs that are running again and again. We wake up in the morning, we write, produce, act in the movie of me. All day long, every day, all lifelong, writing, and then we write reviews, which we read and get even more depressed. And it never stops. How do you stop it? Where do the thoughts come from? Where do they come from? Where do they go? How do you stop them? You can't. You will never stop your thoughts for more than with a tremendous amount of concentration power. You might be able to stop some thoughts sometimes, but that's not the goal. The goal is to just keep releasing them. And little by little, the glue that holds us to all those belief systems that we live with unconsciously, totally asleep. Little by little, that glue gets thinned out. And so the thoughts don't carry us away for so long. But if we don't practice, what are we going to do? Where do you think it's going to come from? Nobody can do it for you. Now, that's the good news and the bad news. The good news is we can do it, and the bad news is we better do it, because nobody else can do it for you. Some really, 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 really great saints can give you a little glimpse of what it might feel like if you didn't believe everything you think, which we do, which is the definition of insanity. We believe everything we think. Why? Why? But we do. Where did the thought come from that all of a sudden it deserves to be believed? I am a piece of shit. Yes, I am a piece of shit. I am not a piece of shit. Right, I am not a piece of shit. Yes, you are a piece of shit. Yes, I am a piece of shit. So, when we chant, really simple. You sing, and when you notice you're not paying attention, you sing. Nothing more is required. You don't have to crank up a whole thing, visualize the whole universe pouring nectar into your head. Because the bathroom is 400 yards away. It'll take you forever to get there. Too much nectar is not good, especially with old kidneys. So you sing, and the minute you notice you're not paying attention, which you probably, if you're paying attention, it'll probably be a billionth of a second, you come back. But here's something really interesting. I find this very interesting. So you're chanting, right? Everybody's chanting. You're in a room with people. Everybody's singing. The music's loud, whatever. And then you notice you haven't been paying attention to what you're doing because you're singing, but you're not paying it. How did that moment happen? How did that moment happen that you woke up? You noticed you weren't paying attention. Why didn't that just go on forever? No answers. And it's because of cause and effect, karma. No cause can be here if it didn't have an effect that created it. No, it's the other way around. Actually, it's both ways. Effects become causes and causes become effects. So if there's waking up has happened, we must have planted those seeds to wake up somewhere in some lifetime or other. Or it could never happen. So if we're here today and it is raining, so there's not that much you can do. There's other things to do. Some part of us brought us together to deepen this moment for each one of us. To try to, one of the definitions of meditation is to become familiar with what it feels like not to be totally gone. To become familiar with what it means to be here. And you get familiar with something by doing it again and again and again. And it becomes natural after a while. The letting go happens quicker. And then they also say that these names that we're singing, these mantras, these sounds, have like a kind of magnetism, like a gravity. They're not just like for instance, if you sang Frank, Frank, Frank for 3 days in a row, not much is going to happen. You probably get a phone call from every Frank you ever knew. But other than that, but these names are what are called revealed sounds, revealed names. Some great being who came to this world from wherever they lived brought this name, brought this sound with them, and offered it to the people to help them overcome suffering. And so these names they come from within. And there is, they say, which is what I say when I don't know what I'm talking about, they say there's a place, so to speak, within us where these names are going on already by themselves. And what we're doing by repeating them either mentally or verbally is tuning ourselves to that place inside that's already here. That's already what it is. And so we are extricating ourselves from the stories we tell ourselves, from all the beliefs that we believe about ourselves for whatever reason, and we're falling more deeply into our true nature. But you shouldn't try to do too much too fast. I suppose most of you do some practice, but try not to try too hard, if that makes any sense. Because that ambitious, aggressive kind of wanting to get something is part of the problem. It's not like that, really. We already have everything we need. We just need to uncover it. So there's no sense getting really cranked up and trying too hard to do something, to become who you already are. It's a question of remembering to look and kind of training ourselves to remember to look and finally to actually see what's inside. Okay, so if you want to ask some questions, somebody will find an answer for you. And the way we're going to have to do it today, if you don't mind, is there's a microphone here. You're going to have to get your asses up, come and stand over here, and ask a question so everybody else can hear, and especially me, who's old and deaf. So if you have something to say, you can come up and share.
Katie, so I really want to know about Neem Karoli Baba. I had a really divine experience. I actually didn't know who he was. And in one of the most difficult moments of my life, he came to me. And I feel very blessed about that. But this is my first time actually coming to your workshop. I came to your concert also yesterday. And I really want to know what drew you to him, and if you could speak a little bit about that initial experience that you had with him.
Well, as far as the storyline goes, I was living on a farm in upstate New York that was owned by some Jungian acid head mountain climbers. Total maniacs. Take 1,000 micrograms of Sandoz acid and climb these vertical faulting planes, you know. They took me on one climb called Beginner's Delight. I had to change my underwear very quickly. Anyhow, so they owned this farm, and he was the older brother of a friend of mine, so I was the caretaker of the farm for a while. And then they moved up there, and they were a little older. They knew about Richard Alpert Ram Dass. And one day they said to me they were going to go up to New Hampshire to visit him. They heard he came back from India with this name, Ram Dass, and they were going to go see him. And they asked me if I wanted to go. I said, no. What do I have to do with white yogis? Yeah, right. Once an asshole, always an asshole. Thank you. So they went off. They were supposed to come back the next day. And I think 2 or 3 days went by. And I had just come out of the goat shed after milking the goat. It was the 60s, come on. We had a couple of goats. They were named Alice Bailey and Madame Blavatsky. So I had this pail of goat milk, and then I see this car that comes in, and he turns around and parks. And the guy gets out of the car, and he's like, And I swear to you, there was light shooting out of his head. Golden light. I just said, write down the directions, I'm leaving now. I ran out to my cabin, I got a shirt and a thing, and I got in my car and I drove all night. And I had an old Volvo, and there was like a hole in the muffler. So 5 hours through a snowstorm, the coldest night in the universe, the heater didn't even work. It was like the whole way there, you know, it's like. And I pull up to this beautiful estate, and there's snow everywhere, and I turn the car off, and it's like total silence. And something happened right in the center of my chest. It was like a blip. I thought, what, am I having a heart attack? That's weird. What's going on here? Then I walked up to the door, knocked on the door, and the door opened slowly, and there's a guy with a beard, and he just looks at me like, and I thought, get me the fuck out of here. But it was too late. I was stuck. And he points up these stairs. It wasn't around me. He pointed up the stairs. Okay, thank you, yeah. So I walked up the stairs, and I turned a corner, and Ram Dass was sitting on the floor, on the bed, and he had his back against the wall, and his eyes was closed. The second I walked into that room, I knew that whatever I was looking for was real, it was in the world, and you could find it. There's something I didn't know before. You know, and I was already meditating. I've been meditating for years, or pretending to meditate. And but at that moment, I knew. And I didn't know what to call it, but whatever it was real. That's the thing I understood immediately. And then, of course, I thought it was him. I thought it was Ram Dass. And so I wanted to be around him. I organized my life about spending more time with him and getting to know him. But the more I got to know him, the more I began to see it was coming through him. It wasn't him as such, it was coming through him. It's complicated and subtle, but let's just leave it at that, because it is. So, so then after about a year and a half, and he used to say that he used to talk about his guru, Maharaji, which means great king, which everybody's a great king in India. The sweepers are a great king. Hello, Maharaj, ki jai, you know. But he never said his name or where to find him. And it turns out that when he was coming back to America, Maharaji said to him, don't talk about me. So all he did was talk about him. He didn't talk about anything else. But he never said his name or where you could find him. So after like a year and a half, I said to him, you know, I'm going to India. And he said, well, you know, I can't tell you where to go. And I said, that's okay. I'll find him. That just shows you what I knew and what I didn't know. Yeah. And he said, wait a minute. You don't understand. So he said, look, here's my friend KK's address. Write to him and see what happens, right? So I wrote to this guy, KK, and I said, you know, I want to come meet Maharaji, and got a letter back a few weeks later, and they said, wonderful to hear from you, blah, blah, blah. Sri Maharaji is not in the hills at this time at his temple in Kenchi. There's a name. Right? But he should return soon, and when he returns, I will take your letter to him, and then I'll write to you again. Okay. So me and Ramesh Das, who recently wrote that book, Being Ram Dass, which is a great book, we were wandering around California, driving around, getting poison oak in Big Sur, having a great time. And then I got another letter back from KK. And it said, etc. He said, Maharaji has returned to his temple, and after some days I was able to go see him. Then he said, as you know, great saints like Maharaji don't encourage the devotees to come to them, but their doors are always open. So if you're traveling in India, you can come have his darshan, you can see him. Fine. I just saw a big green light. I'm going. Not exactly. Many years later, after, we'd become very close, KK said to me, did I ever tell you what really happened that day? No. He said, I took your letter, and now there were two other letters, Rameshwar Das and Danny Goldman, the three of us. I took your letters, and I went to see Maharaji, and I went into the room where he was, and he was sitting on his cot, his tucket, and I pranamed, and then I put the letters next to him, and he was talking to some other people in the room. And then I sat down in front of him, began to peel and cut up an apple and feed him the pieces. This is one thing they did. So, and he was taking the apple and talking to the people, and he noticed the letters, and he asked me what that was. And I said, oh, they're students of Ram Das, they want to come see you. Nay, tell them not to come. What do I have to do with this? So, now, here's the drama, you see. When Ram Das first met Maharaji, KK was the translator. And Maharaji sent Ram Das home with KK and told KK to serve Ram Das. In fact, he told him to give him white bread toast, double roti, and tea. And so KK and Ram Das became very close. And KK felt that by helping us, he was serving Ram Das. And now, Maharaji was interfering with the very service he gave him to do. And KK would not accept that. You see, because KK had grown up in Maharaji's lap since 8 years old. He grew up in his lap. And his relationship with Maharaji was like a spoiled child with his grandfather. Maharaji said, go, he wouldn't go. Sit down, he'd stand up. Eat, he wouldn't eat. Don't eat, he would eat. Go away. I mean, whatever Maharaji said, KK would do the opposite. Lovingly. And now he was being told to tell us to fuck off. Yeah. So he begins to pout. And nobody in the three worlds could pout the way KK pouts. It's extraordinary. It's something to see, unfortunately. Can't see it anymore, but... And he stopped feeding the apple to Maharaji. And he just sat there like this. And he said, Maharaji would say, what's wrong, what's wrong? And Maharaji would push his head up like this, and KK would look away. And then Maharaji would take his hand and go, look at this. And this happened a few times. Finally, Maharaji throws his hands up and he said, okay, tell him what you want. And he goes back to his conversation. So what did he say? As you know, great saints like Maharaji do not encourage the devotees to come to them, but their doors are always open. If it had been another devotee, I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here. Guaranteed. Isn't that amazing? My whole life hanging like a thread. Okay, next life, But that's the way things are, and that's the way Maharaji would do things. It never seemed like he was doing anything, but everything would happen around him. It was amazing. And so, yeah, now from the moment I had met Ram Das, I felt Maharaji everywhere, all the time. It was like, and when we first got to Kenchi and walked in the room where he was sitting, it was very confusing because I was feeling him, seeing him everywhere. How did it all fit wrapped up in that blanket. I didn't get it. It was like a figure ground kind of thing happening. And I was like, and then he just laughed at me, and then it was okay. But yeah, that was that.